You argue even as Confederate monuments go down, the battle over how we remember our history will remain. Put this all in the context of what we saw from Nikki Haley this week.
Absolutely. I think that Nikki Haley's comments illuminate the fact that there are still many people who are uncomfortable naming, acknowledging, and reckoning with the fact that the Civil War was centrally about the enslavement of 4 million Black people in the American South. But what I think this moment also reflects is that I think the pushback is a helpful signal, and is something to be encouraged by, because some of the sort of lost cause mythology that has been so present in the American memory, so present in American history for such a long time, that has dominated the narrative of how we account for and remember what history has been, is shifting. It has been shifting over the course of the Black Lives Matter movement over the last 10 years. It's shifted after the murder of George Floyd. And now we have many more people who recognize that the story that we were told about America is previously a sort of distorted, myopic, narrow one, and we're telling a much more honest story. And part of that honesty is recognizing that the Confederacy was a treasonous territory that fought a war singularly predicated on maintaining and expanding the institution of slavery. And that was what led to the Civil War. And we have enormous evidence to demonstrate that they said this for themselves. As folks have stated, the Declaration of Confederate Secessions in 1861, a state like Mississippi said for themselves, "Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest in the world." So they weren't vague about why they were seceding from the Union. They were very clear about it. And it's important that people hold Nikki Haley accountable so that she be clear about it as well.
And Congressman Jolly, let's talk about that potential accountability. Even with her new remarks today, Ambassador Haley doesn't really acknowledge the real pain of slavery or its lasting effects, besides saying it's a stain on our history. First of all, why is this so hard? And second, what does it tell us about the current state of Republican politics?
Yeah, Julian, so true. Each time she revisits this, there's always the but. And it just is cringy to see her do that, because she's asking to be leader of essentially the free world as president of the United States. And I will say this, as a contemporary of Nikki Haley's, who also grew up in the South, at times with the very rural South, you consistently got exposed to this argument that the Civil War was about states' rights. But as you grow and mature intellectually and with a soul, you recognize the bad faith in that argument, that it's only half the sentence, that it was about a state's rights to permit slavery, human slavery. And so as you mature and realize that, you disconnect from that bad faith teaching. And I think what was so unsettling about seeing Nikki Haley at 51 years old asking to be president of the United States, she's still trying to strike that balance between the bad faith argument about states' rights while also tiptoeing to approach this issue of slavery. It was an absurd and terrible moment for her. And again, even then when she cleans it up, there's always the but. It's about the economy, and it's about this and this and this. And no, it's not. It's about human slavery. And as the former governor of South Carolina and the person asking to be president, she should be able to pinpoint that. The other thing, though, Julian, which is interesting, is as we look at these candidates and say, why aren't they hitting Donald Trump if they're running against him? I would also merely ask, why aren't you contrasting yourself with Donald Trump? This race started with Ron DeSantis passing the Anti-Woke Act that forbids teaching that systemic racism and slavery contributes to inequality today. He also is the candidate who said slavery had benefits for those who were enslaved. And now Nikki Haley is tiptoeing around the question of whether the Civil War was about slavery. How do you ever expect to contrast yourself with the MAGA movement and Donald Trump if you are this bad on the question of race? An embarrassing week for Nikki Haley, but an embarrassing week for the party and the candidates in the entire field.